On page 7 and 8, everyone. Yidi Nefesh. Echad in Eretz Mikeodecha Nagila Benismecha Laba Ma'akerechos Iva Moed Lecha Manenu Ki Me'olam So we could just make a meal out of this one piyut, this one little prayer. We don't have to do anything else. No exciting Lecha Dodi. We don't have to do the 6 psalms that represent the 6 days of the week. We could just sit right in this poem on page 7 and 8. And especially this last of the 4 stanzas that begins with the 4th letter of God's name, the Hey of Yigalena. Because in our tradition, Shabbat is a day for feeling covered by love in the circle of friends and family, experience of Gilui, of revelation. So on page 7 and 8, we'll chant together the bolded Hebrew line, the beginning of the 4th stanza, Higalena. Gale, Shalom. As we turn to page 9 and 10, Psalm 95.
בתודה בזמירות נריע לו
אל גדול אדוני מלך גדול הכל אלוהים השם ידו מחרף סוף השרים לו דיבר חלם לאדוני עושנו כי הוא אלוהינו ואנחנו אמריצו את צאן ידו היום אם בקולו תשמע תקשו לבבכם כי מריבה כי הוא מסע במדבר Baruch, page 9 and 10.
40 שנה אכות בדור ואומר עם טועה לבבם
Page 11 and 12, Psalm 96.
Mikdash
Page 14. Adonai Malay Ol Tigli. Eish lefanav tevus levzavli asata שם מאהבה תשמח ציון ותגיע למנוס יהודה למען משפטך אדוני כי אתה אדוני על כל הארץ מלבבי
אדוני עשינו רע
שומע נפשוס חסידיו
מיד רשעים יצילם אור זרוע על הצדיק
ולישראל שמחה
שמחו צדיקים באדוני והודו לזכר קודשו.
Page 15 and 16 is Moshe Adonai Shir Chadash, Psalm 98. Hoshir lo yemin ozro HaKadosh Od Yoloi Zachar chasto v'emunah Beis Yisrael V'chol afsei Oretz Eis Yeshuas Eloheinu Yiram hayamu Elohot Tevel Yoshvei Vach Naro simcha uchaf yachad harim yiraneyenu Livnei Adonai kiva Lishpot haaretz Yishpot tevel v'tzedek V'yamim b'mei sharim Adonai malach yirgezu amim at page 17 and 18 Psalm 99 the Psalm for Thursday.
מושל ירון בכהניו ושמואל בקוראי שמו קוראים אדוני אוי והוא יענה ויעמוד אדוני ידבר עליהם שמרו עדותיו וחוק נתן לעמו אדוני אלוהינו אתה ענית אל נושא היית להם ונוקם על עלילותם רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו להר קודשו כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו
Please rise.
Psalm
29. Page 19 and 20. Kabbalat Shabbat. Feel the ground holding you as Shabbat enters. Feel your shoulders up near your ears and relax them down. Feel the ground holding you. Feel the breath supporting you. As you find your seats. In the words of our ancestors on page 21 and 22, Ana b'koach.
Ana bekoach gedulat yemincha ta'atir tzerua kabel rinat chasagveinu tahareinu nora נגיבור דור שייכותך כבבת שומרים ברכם תרם רחמי צדקתך תמיד גמר חסים קדוש
Sakaseyano Yodea Talumo Bado Shegem Kivon Malchusuto Legeo Va'ed Dinilo So take a minute, everybody. As you hear the sounds of New York and the sounds of the prayers, and maybe even hearing your own breathing, your own rhythm. If you feel comfortable closing your eyes, close your eyes and just take a minute just to feel where you are as Shabbat enters tonight. And wherever you're bringing with you. And maybe seeing if you can give yourself permission to enter Shabbat. Like I give myself permission to let go of Friday and Thursday and Wednesday and Tuesday, Monday, Sunday, to let go of Simchat Torah and the end of the high holidays, and to enter this first Shabbat of the year, as it were, the beginning of Parshat Bereshit, the beginning of the creation of the world. See what it's like to be able to say, as if the voice of God were saying to you, Vayechulu Hashamayim, and it's over. The heaven of Wednesday and the earth of Thursday, and all of the hosts of the whole week are resting at this moment as you, me, we all give permission to receive Shabbat. It's a funny thing that we have something called Kabbalat Shabbat. Kabbalat Shabbat is a very receptive word. Like kabel means to receive, it means to allow something in. It can also mean to take upon yourself something in Hebrew. It's as if each and every Friday we're given a consent form to whom it may concern. We'd like to give, can you let David have Shabbat this week? And it's signed to each and every one of us. Say, I have to sign and say, yes, I'm giving David permission to have Shabbat this week. Kabbalah, I take it upon you. It's okay. Shabbat happens whether we're ready or not, but it doesn't really do its work unless we receive it and give it permission. On page 23 and 24. afar kumi yishigdei artech ami al yad ben ishai bei salachmi kol va'el nashiged Allah
בשלום, עטרת בעלה גם בשמחה,
ובצוהר לתוך אמוני עם סגולה בואי חלה שבת המלכה כמו לך דודי ונקרא סגן בלד ובני שבס נקבל I invite you to remain standing as you turn towards Jerusalem, towards the east. And remaining standing, we turn to page 28 for the Psalm of Shabbat, Mizmor Shir. Mizmor Shir, Shir Yom HaShabbat. Mizmor Shir, Shir Yom HaShabbat. Mizmor Shir. Shabbat, Mizmor Shir, Yom HaShabbat, Mizmor Shir, Shir Yom HaShabbat, Mizmor Shir, Shir Yom HaShabbat, Mizmor Shir, Shir Yom HaShabbat, Mizmor Shir Yom HaShabbat. Alei Asor v'alei Navi alei Higyon Lechinor. Ki simachtan Adonai mefolecha maselecha Aronein magad u'masechaya. Yoram k'mukshvasam. Ki noevecha yovedu yispardu kol polei aven. V'atarem kirim karni. Balosi b'shemen ronan v'tabidin rishon. Tzadik atamar yifrach keres b'alvanon yizker. Shesule beveis Adonai b'chatzros Eloheinu yafrichu. Omon yinovod b'sevam d'shenim ra'nanim yagiu להגיד כי ישר אדוני צורי ולאב לסבו. On page 29, Psalm 93, Adonai Malachi Uslavesh. Lavesh Adonai Ozista Zarafti Kontevel Valtimonachim. Mikolos Mayim Rabim. Mayim Rabim Adirim Mishpereyam. Adin b'marom Adonai Uzmayim rabim Mayim rabim adidim Adin mishmerayam Adin b'marom Adonai Eidosecha nemnu malaveischa nava kodesh Adonai, the Ordech Yamin. As we turn to page 113, and as we stand here at this moment, we also welcome into our midst those who are in mourning. Bob, we welcome you in this week of Shiva for your sister. We also welcome into our midst Daphne Linzer and her family as they mourn the loss of her father. We also bring into our midst at this moment all of those who are in need of healing in our community and beyond it. As we turn to the words of Psalm 147, again found on 113, Harofer l'shavorei lev, to the healer of the brokenhearted.
Counter Harofesh Reileh Umchabesh Leatzvotam Unei Mispar LaKochavim Vekulam Shemo Nikra
שברך אבותינו ואמותינו יברך וירפא את כל החולים בעבור שכולנו מתפללים בעבורם בשכר זה הקדוש ברוך הוא ומלא רחמים עליהם להחלימם ולרפאותם ולחזיקם ולחיוצם וישלח להם מהר רפואה שלמה מן השמיים שבת היא מלזוהר ורפואה קרובה לבוא השתה בעגלה בזמן קריב ונאמר אמן. Amen. Please be seated, everybody. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Good Shabbos, good Shabbos. It's that time of the night, everybody. The most exciting moment of any service, the announcements. So if you have your announcements with you, meaning the sheet of paper that was placed into your, lovingly placed into your Siddur, with a couple of very important announcements for you, I'd like to draw your attention to a couple of very important things that are coming in a couple of weeks, a week from tonight, and then also in November and December. We have 3 dates on the calendar for a very special guest prayer leader and musician, Rabbi Zach Fredman, Shelley and Carmi, their beautiful, amazing son, who's an incredible musician, incredible rabbi, and he and his Temono Center for the Arts, and he's also the leader of an incredible, sacred music ensemble called Epichorus. And so the members of the Epichorus and also his community will be with us. So that's next Friday night at 6:30, and also the other dates are also on the front page. So please come out for the very special Kabbalat Shabbat service a week from tonight. Also to let you know that also on your page here you have the remarkable Seekers program, the Holistic Hebrew School, starts this Monday. It's not too late to give your child the gift of an education that is inspired and wanting to inspire. So that's also available to you. If you know anybody who needs a good Hebrew school for their children, Seekers I'd take Seekers any day. Seekers is an amazing place. So that starts this Monday. And also, Shabbat meals. We have, in this community, no better way to connect with others than through a Shabbat meal. We know that now that many of us are feeling more comfortable with one another in homes, right? So we encourage you to consider hosting a meal and inviting other people to your home for a meal. Members can find the contact information for other members in our online membership portal. If you're a member, you get to know all the other members, and you can kind of dial one up and invite them to your house for a home-hosted meal. Also, our list of lifelong learning is on the back page here. So check out lifelong learning. There's some incredible courses that are coming. Learning with Rabbi Koller Esses and Israeli Lit and Beit Midrash, all of that is here on your handout. Okay, that part's over. Hopefully you'll take that with you. Anybody here for the first time want to say hello? We have a microphone. We have a special group here that comes every single year. Rabbi, would you like to introduce your group here? All right.
Shabbat Shalom. I'm Rabbi Adam Stock-Spilker from St. Paul, Minnesota. And we have, that's usually reserved for Brooklyn, so I feel very honored.
Wow, somebody who really knows our minhagim here, the customs here. That's great.
We have 20 11th graders and one senior post-confirmation class, and we are traveling for 5 days here. And just thrilled to be once again here with you at Romemu. But next to me, I have one other guest who lives here.
Hi. Oh. I'm Lauren. I live in Brooklyn. I'm originally from Dallas, Texas. Rabbi Adam is my wonderful cousin, and I'm not sure what else I'm supposed to share about myself.
I mean, that was it. That was great. Clearly somebody who knows how to stand up and introduce themselves. Thank you so much. Anybody else want to say hi? Cool.
Hello, I'm Rabbi Moti Reber. I'm from Kansas City, Missouri. Actually, I'm from Overland Park, Kansas. And my wife, Susie, and I are here on a 25th anniversary trip to New York for 5 days. And we're staying like half a block down that way, so I decided to come for Shabbos.
I just want to make sure why everybody's saying, wow. Okay, let me get this straight. Was it, which part of that? Was it the 25th wedding anniversary? Yeah? Or was it like they're in town and enjoying New York in ways that most of us don't?
Overland Park.
Huh?
And Overland Park.
And Overland Park. Okay, there you go. Okay, there you go. Yes. Kansas City, Kansas, and Kansas.
Has
Okay.
somebody fixed your Torahs lately? Did you have somebody come? So Rachel came and fixed your Torahs. Rachel is my wife, and is so Ferret, who also fixes the Torahs here at Romemu.
Wow.
So double wow.
So that's the kind of thing that if you hadn't known, it would be like one of those magic tricks. You'd be like, let me just take a guess about your community. It's like, oh, I have a feeling,
You have
amazing.
a lot of Torahs.
And you gave a sermon last week on, yeah. Amazing. Okay, welcome. Anybody else want to say hi? Anybody? Okay. Give people the out. Okay, good. All right. No pressure. A couple of people online also here for the first time. We're just going to do a brief hello to our Zoomagogers. Hey, everybody in the Zoomagog. Hello. Hello. Good Shabbos. All right, let's see. Who's here for the first time? Anybody? Usually the people who are here for the first time are also people who really generally tend not to chat in. They're kind of like, okay, I don't have to chat. I'm not going to do it. All right. So if you're here for the first time, we just welcome you. It's great to have you with us wherever you are. We're going to stand for the Baruch, the call to prayer, which can be found in your Sidurim on page 31 and 32. So in this week's Torah portion, when God creates humanity on the sixth day, God says, Na'aseh Adam b'tzelmeinu kidmutenu. It's a very strange grammatical form. God says, let us, let's, in the plural, instead of, the singular. God says, I'm going to create. Bothered, the rabbis, of course, should be bothersome. What's the royal we? We who are us. And so the tradition says God was teaching humility. One of the traditional interpretations, God was saying, I could do this by myself, but it would be better if we did this together. And so this kind of this built-in sense of community, the sense that we is greater than I, that even if we could do it alone, what would be the sense of that? We have to do it together. It's almost like every time Jews get together, they say, Na'aseh minyan. We have to make a minyan together. Right? We can't pray unless we do it together. So as we're called to Baruch on page 31, we noticed that the word blessing becomes bless to let's bless with the vav, the little vav at the end that says, me and you, we, together. Let's bow together to that which makes us greater together than individually.
Baruch es Adonai Ha'yadadai Ha'mevorach
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam
Rucha'at Shechina. We continue on page 33 and 34. You may be seated. Eloheinu ruach haolam asher b'dvarav mariva aravim. בחוכמה פותחת שערים ובתבונה משנה עיתים ומחליפת הזמנים ומסדרת את הכוכבים. אלא חיה וקיימת תמיד תמלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. אלא חיה וקיימת תמיד תמלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוכה את שכינה המריבה מערבים. אהבת עולם בית ישראל עמך אהבת, תורה מצוות חוקים משפטים. On page 36. כי הם חיינו יום ימינו וימי יומם ולילה.
חיינו ואורך ימינו ובהם נגה יומם בלילה באהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Meloheinu Adonai On page 47 and 48, I'm sorry, 39 and 40. V'yohavta eis Adonai Elohecha
בכל לבבך, בכל נפשך, ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה, אשר אנוכי מצווך, היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברתם בשבתך, בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ושוכבך ובקומך, שרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך, וישארו.
Continue on page 41, 42, 43, and 44. V'ayayim shemot yishmo mitzvotai. Yishamru lachem v'nivtei levavchem v'esartem v'avatem limachirim. וסבתם על מזוזות ויסך וישר על המען יבואו ימיכם ימי בניכם ולא אדמה שיש באדוני לבוסיכם. ויאמר אדוני אל משה לאמור דבר אל בני ישראל ואמרת עליהם יעשו להם ציציס על גנבי בגדיהם לדורות סמנס לדורות ציצי. Mi Adonai Elohechem asher hotzei eschem me'eretz Mitzrayim nosachem Elohim. Adonai Elohechem emes. Habodim miyad melachim malkin al gadu. On page 47 and 48. Our morning and evening reminder, twice a day. Take these two every day, and it's a good thing. In the morning and the evening, we say this prayer for liberation and for redemption. There's nothing more important in the world than to keep this hope and dream alive. That just as Moses and his sister and all of our ancestors imagined that even in the midst of the worst imaginable suffering, there would one day come a time when their voices would be heard, when the constriction would end and expansion would begin. And so even though we say these words in the different melodies, b'simcha rabba, with great joy, it's kind of like they said it with radical, abundance and laughter and joy and exaltation. It's like God should bless us if there are songs that we are losing hope in, that we rekindle that hope in those songs, that they might one day come forth, Yichamocha. כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, on page 49. אל מלכנו לרחום אתה ושמו צייסנו, היינו לחיים ולשלמיית אביית עולם.
פרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך, ברוך אתה אדוני, פורי סוכת שלום, עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל, ועל כל יושבי תבל ויער.
kaddish, yiskadal veyiskadash merabah.
Amen.
Alma divrach yusei v'yamlich malchusei, v'chayecho v'yomei, unchai lechol beit Yisrael, b'galaba, mizman v'yemeru, yesh merabah. Yisbarach v'yishtabach v'yispar v'yisroma v'yisnasei v'yishadar v'yisalev v'yisalal shemei dekudsha le'ela min kol v'chasa v'shir osa tushbecha. And let us say, the Amidah can be found on page 56 as we stand together. Tomorrow morning we're going to bless the new moon. The new moon of Cheshvan, the second month or the 8th month of the year, depending on how you count. The month that is officially the month that leads us inexorably away from the powerful beginning of every Jewish year. Something remarkable about Rosh Chodesh, about the actual day of new moon, is that in the ancient temple, back when the Israelites' technology for connecting with God and spirit was through sacrificial rite in the ancient temple, a sacrifice was brought called a Sa'ir L'Chatat, a sin offering was brought on the day of Rosh Chodesh. Very strange thing. Why would the Israelites have to bring a sin offering on Rosh Chodesh? As far as I know, it's not a sin to celebrate the new moon. The rabbis, picking up on this anomaly, say something remarkable. Do you know who the sin offering is for? For God. The sin offering is for God. And the rabbis have a beautiful midrash, an expansion on that idea. The Talmud teaches, the Amar Reish Lakish, Ma nishtana sa'ir shel Rosh Chodesh. Why is there a sin offering brought on the new moon? Because God says, Sa'ir ze yehei kapara al shemi'atiti et hayareach. In the imagination of the rabbis of the Talmud, God, as it were, in their imagination says, I have to bring a sin offering because I made the moon small. What does that mean? The rabbis are playing off of yet another folk, another midrash, another powerful thread, a trope that's found in the Talmud of Masechet Chulin. That's found in Tractate Chulin. The Gemara says, the Talmud teaches, there's a rabbi named Shimon ben Pazi. And Shimon ben Pazi noticed that in the text that we'll read tomorrow morning in synagogues around the world, in the first chapter of the book of Genesis, on the 4th day, it says that God created the two great luminaries. They're described as Gidolim, great, Gadol, big. Two big ones. And then the verse makes a radical departure. The next words are, the big one to serve by night, and the small one to serve by night. The big one to serve by day, and the small one to serve by night. This Shimon ben Pazi said, how can you reconcile these two parts of the same verse? Weren't they both called Gidolim in the beginning of the verse, and now one is called Gadol, great, and the other is called Katan, small? Weren't they big? What happened? As if somewhere in the middle of that verse is a story that Shimon ben Pazi wants to figure out. And Shimon ben Pazi, I'll tell you the story. Here's the story. And there are a number of different versions of this, but it goes something like this. The moon came before God in his version, the Shimon ben Pazi, and said to God, is it possible for two kings to share one crown? The moon had a kitrug, the moon had a complaint, and said, is it possible to have one crown for two kings? And God says, oh, you're right. Go make yourself small. The rest of the story in the Talmud is also remarkable because the conversation continues where the moon basically complains back to God, what did I do wrong? Why am I being punished? Why do you have to make me small? Didn't I say something logical and coherent? And God says, you know, you did actually. And that's why God brings a sin offering on Rosh Chodesh, because God should never have made the moon smaller. This is a remarkable midrash. It's a remarkable folk. What does it mean at all? What is it even, what is it pointing to? We can readily imagine that in the ancient world, when they looked up into the sky and they saw the sun, they imagined to themselves, that is the emblem of power. Burning hot. Without it, there could be no growth. It's warmth. It's strength. It's so strong you can't even look directly at it, like the kings in the ancient world. Good to be the king. Who would want to be the moon? Darkness, repose, mystery, soft light at a time when being soft can get you killed. Imagining the bullying that would go on for the moon in the Celestial Academy for all luminaries. Look at you, little moon. Look at your soft blue light. Sure, you're around during the day, but if you were strong, wouldn't you dispel the darkness? Imagining the ancients at that period thinking of darkness in that way, the moon's light becomes a pale expression of the more idyllic light of the sun. You find this expressed also in the book of Isaiah, where in Isaiah chapter 30, verse 26, Isaiah prophesies that in the future, Or HaLevana will be like Or HaChama. The light of the sun and the light of the moon will be one. But for the ancients, and for the rabbis in particular here in this midrash, the question really is, what is being pointed to in the Pagam HaLevana, that the Levana, the moon, became something new? Number of different possible interpretations. One is that the punishment of the moon, as it were, that she becomes smaller, was that once the moon was fully saturated by energy, light, and warmth, just like the sun. And we pray for a future when the sun and the light of the moon will both offer that kind of energy and light. Another interpretation says that the punishment is that the sun and the moon once gave a constant glow. The moon once also gave a constant, unfluctuating light. And we're praying now for a light that doesn't fluctuate and requires us not to have faith. I'd like to offer another understanding. When the moon came and said, is it possible for two lights or two kings to have one crown? Essentially, what the moon was saying was, we each are using the very same light. We're using the same light. But I want light of my own. This is one interpretation. And the fault of the moon is that the moon, as it were, embodies or becomes the embodiment or the personification of the human being that says, it's great that we have all of this light from the sun, but as long as it's not mine, I'm not interested in the project. It's great for the world that we're both here, but I want my name on the building. It's not about the project that there being light in the world in one version of this story. It's that the moon says, if there's light in the world and it's from the sun and I don't get my name on it, then it's not worth it. And so one interpretation in the tradition is that this whole story, this whole myth is a story that the rabbis used to tell human beings that ultimately it's about the light and not about where it comes from. It might not be your light. You might not get to claim it. I remember somebody, Justin Bieber's biggest hit. What was it? It was Go and Love Yourself. What is Love Yourself? But who wrote that song, right? Ed Sheeran. Did you know that?
I did.
Of course you did. But most people didn't even know that. Justin Bieber took credit, right? It's my song. It's been my song. And Ed Sheeran, I don't know him personally, but I think he's probably a little bit of a good person. So there's one version of this where the moon is essentially being chastised, as it were. The rabbis looking up at the world, they see this moon. They kind of create a whole story about the moon. The moon has an ego just like the rest of us. They want our names on the back of the jersey or our names on the song. Each of us wants to be able to say, I started it, it was me. But that doesn't really explain. It doesn't really explain for me fully that God, as it were, sins and what that might mean. And why the new moon every month is a joyous celebration except for God's little sin offering. And it also doesn't explain why we, the Jewish people, are compared to the moon over and over again. And in fact, the waxing and the waning of the moon, instead of it being a punishment that the moon now waxes and wanes, not like the sun, is actually seen as one of our great strengths. So I think, for me personally tonight, I'd like to offer this. It's been a long holiday season, so if the sermon is not as exactly clear to all of you, I hope you go back and listen to it. But at least you'll leave with this. Ultimately, in Jewish tradition, over the last 2,000 years, the power of the moon comes from the fact that her light isn't her light. The fact that the moon's light is a refracted light. The fact that the moon is empty, and in order for the moon, as it were, to even share her light in the dark, it has to be light that comes from the sun. And instead of that being a punishment, we see that as a strength. And so, the strength of the moon is that the moon recognizes that in order for her or for it to do its work, or her to do her work in the world, her humility comes from the fact that she can empty herself and then fill herself again. The borrowed light of the moon means that the moon is receptive to hear the light or see the light or refract the light of the one who stands before her. Her humility, her capacity to be empty, means that she has greater power ultimately even than the sun. And that the rabbis, when they imagine God apologizing, as it were, for the sin of the moon, God saying, as it were, I'm sorry that the world is constructed in this way where you have to arrive at a place where you must empty yourself in order to know the deepest power that exists. I'm sorry, as it were, for the suffering that the ego will go through, the attachments, all of the ways in which we get in the way of receiving light, all of the ideas that we have. I'm looking at the kids here, sorry, but it's going to take you until you're my age, probably maybe a little bit earlier, to realize that so much of what you have to do in the world will come from not doing than doing. You have your whole lives ahead, and you're going to do so much. You have big visions and big plans, and God willing, you'll change the world. And at some point, like in the work of the giving tree, you'll realize that your greatest power actually is not in what you acquire, but in what you give away. Give away the honor for this or the name on that. And ultimately, it won't matter to you, right, your own individual goals and achievements, which will be beautiful, but ultimately you'll realize it's a much bigger thing is happening and that you want to participate in that, whether it's your family, whether it's the Jewish people, whether it's democracy, whether it's tikkun olam, that we have a role to play like the moon's light, which is absolutely essential, but ultimately, our greatest strength will be not in what we acquire and amass, but in our capacity to receive, our capacity to become an even greater vessel for that which is coming through us, but not because of us. I had the good fortune last night of being with Noah Solomon at a dedication of a Torah. Rabbi Joseph Telushkin and his wife Devorah Telushkin, who lost their son Benji 2 years ago, tragically, thought that the only way that they could lift his memory appropriately was to commission the writing of a Torah, and it was completed last night. Remarkable. And I couldn't help but think, as the sofer, the scribe, was filling in the last letters, in order for him to fill in the letters, and then he invited everybody there to make him an emissary to fill in the letters, so that we would all have the mitzvah, we would have the good deed, which is enumerated by Maimonides as the 613th good deed, which is to write a Torah. In order for all of us who could not write a Torah, because we don't know how to scribe letters, he actually cut out the shape of the letters and then had us help him fill it in. There had to be a completely empty space on which those letters could land. The parchment had to receive that ink. The whole Torah, which will become this beautiful sun of awareness, this sun of enlightenment, this sun of wisdom, its power comes from the fact that you can write on it. If there's another letter there, you can't write over that other letter. In fact, if there's a letter there that should not be there, you have to use a razor to take out, to make an empty space for the new letters to land. And like the moon, whose emptiness allows her to become the most powerful, beautiful light by night and by day, the pagama levana, this quote-unquote defect of the moon, is her power, her greatest teacher. It's such a beautiful way to begin the year. Such a beautiful reminder to each and every one of us as we gear up for what's ahead, as we make our plans and make our commitments, our promises. The story of the Levana, of the moon who wanted more But ultimately, is a great testimonial to the power of subtlety and nuance, the power of perseverance, the power of faith. Ultimately, the world is not always clear to us why things are the way they are. We don't always know why there's a waxing and waning in our lives. But the moon is a reminder, a lesson in shiflut and anava, in humility, and the power that it imparts. So, harvest moon, blue moon, moonshine, moon river, all the moons. When we herald the new moon tomorrow and throughout the week ahead, I invite you to think often as you can about whether or not you are trying to be the sun when really the moon is what's being called for. Whether your fullness is getting in the way of your power. Whether your ego is getting in the way of your efficacy. And maybe we can forgive God for this really difficult education in what it means to shine our light. May God bless each and every one of us with knowing the power that comes from being empty. Please rise. Page 77 and 78.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת קדמה ליוצר בראשית, שהוא עשנו כגוי הרצון, ושמנו משפחות האדמה, ששם חלקנו עמכם, לגור עלינו עם כל העולם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך שהוא נודה שמיים יוסד הארץ ומשה וקרוב בשמיים על שכינת עוזו וגבי מרומים והשב אותה אל לבביך כי אדוני הוא אלוהים
והשב אותה אל לבביך כי הוויה הוא האלוהים ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו
If you are in mourning, we invite you to please remain standing for the mourner's kaddish, which can be found in your Sidurim, your prayer books, on page 115 and 16. This evening we remember these loved ones. Please say your names of loved ones out loud, Bob. Okay. Yes. Anyone else? And for those who are in the chat area online as well, the mourner's kaddish can be found on page 115 and 16, as I said, and we remember Lita Torgan and Hannah. We also bring to mind again Daphna Linzer, whose father passed away this week, and the Levaya will be on Sunday in Edmonton. The mourner's kaddish some have the custom of standing for the mourner's kaddish, so please rise if that's your minhag. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shmei Rabbah
Amen.
v'amad divrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayechon u'v'yamechon u'b'chayei dichol beit Yisrael ba'agala u'bizman kariv imru.
Amen.
Yehi shmei Rabbah mivorach le'alam u'me'amaya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shmei dekudsha brichu Le'ilam in kol bechata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechem ata da'amiram be'oma v'imru Yehi shlama rabba min shmaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom b'mramav Oyaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru Amen.
Amen.
Please remain standing, everyone. May their memories be a blessing. Yehi zichram Baruch. We turn to page 87 and 88 for this evening's kiddush. Into this cup of blessing, we have a couple of thank yous tonight. We give thanks this evening to our remarkable davening team, to Noah Solomon, to our rabbinic fellow Jackson Mercer, to Ari Axelrod, and to Carla Friend, as well as our team on AV, and also those who are we're here from staff, Jeffrey and Victor and the entire team. Immediately following our services, we'll have a kiddush across the street on the ground floor of the Romemu Center. Everybody is welcome. And on the Zumagog, we'll also welcome you as well. Into this cup of blessing, also tonight's kiddush has it's a little bit different. Maybe Jackson will tell us a little bit about his custom of kiddush, his kiddush version.
This is where you put me on the spot, so you find out. I actually made this up.
You made it up?
Yeah. So this is I didn't grow up saying kiddush, this part of kiddush, every Friday night. And so my wife encouraged me to learn one. And only several months in did she figure out that I was just making it up on the spot.
What happened to share with Yisrael? I thought that you said that...
I know. I got self-conscious.
You don't want to do this?
No. That's what I'm going to do.
Oh.
We'll continue the story.
Oh, okay. Okay, so this is your own beautiful version,
Yes.
Okay, I got it. No problem.
It's
Loosely based
like
off
a
of
fan fiction
of a Spanish-Portuguese one.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Okay,
Cool.
so we're on page 87 and 88 for this
87 and 88.
fan fiction of the Spanish-Portuguese kiddush. Awesome. Love it.
Vayer vayivoker yom hashishi, vayachulu hashemayim v'charetz v'chol tzava'am, vaychal Elohim bayom hashvi'i melachto asher asa, vayishbot bayom hashvi'i mikol melachto asher asa, vayvarech Elohim et yom hashvi'i, v'kadesh oto, ki bo shavad mikol melachto asher bara Elohim la'asod, savri chaverai.
Chaim.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagefen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'avav ratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reshit ki hu yom techila lemikrai kodesh zecher letziat mitzrayim
Yivanu v'achata ve'otanu
עם כל העמים
ושבת
קודשך
באהבה
ורצון הנחלתן ברוך אתה אדוני
שמו
מקדש השבת.
I think that's going to be a fan favorite, not just fan fiction. That's a beautiful kiddush. Everybody, tomorrow morning at 8:45, Rabbi Koloresis will be teaching the open book, Parsha class, a study of the Torah, the weekly portion, the weekly wisdom, 8:45 to 9:45. Please join our community at 10 o'clock for services at the Romemu Center across the street tomorrow morning. Big shout out, Good Shabbos to friends, to Phil and to Anjoni. Good Shabbos to Kevin and Neil and Bonnie and Rudrani and Paul. Good Shabbos, Ana Luisa. Good Shabbos, Daniel, Harriet and Mark and Abby and Barbara and Stephen, Rudin and Asher Chaim and Marta. Oh, say shalom b'nova.
יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל ביתנו וימלו אמן ימנר אלוהו ימנר אלוהו עושה שלום בנועם הוא יעשה שלום